My name is Ando, and I'm an artist, a photographer, and a member of the Undergang. Every week, I sit down with an artist, a curator, a musician, an author, or anyone else working in the creative fields, and we talk about their work, their life, and what it takes to keep fighting the good fight in our world today. Welcome to the Undergang Armchair. Alright, hello friends, this is Ando. Welcome back for another episode, 27. We have the talented artist John Copeland with us today. He's here to tell us a little bit about where he comes from, about his work, about his methods, all sorts of good stuff. It's a shorter talk today. I got a hold of him last week on Thursday, a few hours before the preview for his exhibition. He had a lot of stuff to do, he had a lot of interviews, and honestly, he didn't even know what he was walking into. So this episode is actually kind of interesting, and I think it marks somewhat of a turning point, for me at least. I don't know if it's because it's a shorter episode or if it's because of me or what, but I felt like we never really got a good rhythm going in this conversation. And I was a little bummed out after the talk, to be honest. And, you know, I didn't know why, really. I didn't know if it was me or what, but then later on I went back and listened to the interview again. And to be honest, I gave myself douche chills, really. I was stepping on him. I was interrupting all the time. I wasn't giving him a chance to talk. You know, everyone, you have this idea of yourself that you are, at least I assume most people do, that you're good in conversation, that you're a good person to talk to and meet. And I mean, unless you're cripplingly shy, then, you know, I assume that you believe that you're an interesting person to talk to and you like talking to people. And I certainly believe this about myself. And I really had to check myself here. Being part of a podcast really makes you examine the way you talk to people. And I got to think about some stuff here because I wasn't very happy with the way I talked to John in this case. And, you know, if you're listening, John, I want to apologize. I know it wasn't the end of the world, but it wasn't, you know, it's just not very professional, I guess. I'll leave you guys, of course, to hear it and see what you think. I hope you guys can forgive us for having a shorter one this week. We had an hour and a half last week. If you didn't hear that one, it was a great episode. But, you know, what I really have to learn is that some people don't run their mouths like I do. And they take time to think about what they're saying. You know, they give thoughtful, clear, concise answers instead of just yapping. So I know I'm being hard on myself, but that's all part of the game. And what I'm really hoping here is it's going to help make me better. That's what I'm after, all in all. Since we got a short talk today, I'm going to kind of do a little more rambling than I usually do on the back end, which is hilarious since I just sat here and told you guys that I shouldn't run my mouth so much. But I'm actually going to do that after the conversation with John. But for now, here's the conversation with John Copeland. He's a symbol of development through hard work and professionalism in my mind. I did learn something about talking with him, you know, and again, hard work keeps coming up again and again and again. He's shown all over the world. It's his third show at V1, and I really encourage you guys to go check out the show if you are here in Copenhagen, especially the bronze sculptures. I really like the bronze sculptures. They're powerful works, and they really point to a whole new direction he can take his work in terms of exhibitions and interplay between object and painting and etc., etc. All right, enough. Enjoy the talk with John, guys. Yeah, so I grew up out there, and it was a fucking great place to grow up, but it's also a great place to move away from.
Yeah, of course. I totally understand that. I mean, I've been in New York for 16 years now.
Right. Did you're from California?
Yeah, I grew up in San Luis Obispo.
Oh, that's a nice place, isn't it?
It is. It's a great place to be a little kid.
Exactly, but because of that whole thing. Like, you gotta beat it at some point.
Yeah, it's just, there's nothing really, I don't know, it's not the place for me. But, Yeah, no complaints. I moved to Oakland to go to school, and been in New York ever since.
I mean, San Luis is not so big, right?
No.
Would you say it's kind of like isolated?
I mean, not so. I don't know if it's so much isolated, but there's not a whole lot of like things like culture kind of stuff going on. It doesn't feel like anybody's really taking any chances.
Right.
I mean, we would drive to LA or drive to SF to see shows, see bands play and stuff like that.
How close are you to Santa Barbara?
Hour and a half.
Okay, so that's kind of the nearest large city.
Yeah, it's kind of like Santa Barbara, but smaller.
All right. What do people do for work out there? Like, what do your parents do?
My dad does real estate, sporting goods business for a lot of years, and my mom passed away a few years ago, but
just suburban, kind of like relaxing. I mean, it's beach life, really.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways, which is great when you're young, and then at a certain point, you're just like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
Where did you get interested in art? Like, how'd that start?
Just from. No one in my family was an artist. There's nothing like that. I just love to draw and make stuff,
Yeah. Did that kind of carry you through high school kind of deal?
Yeah. I was pursuing like that and music, and I just, I didn't want to go to music school. So it just was kind of the direction to go in. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like how self-sufficient it is,
Totally. But I mean, it means also all the responsibilities on you.
Yeah, of course.
That's the flip side.
Yeah, of course.
But I mean, were you ever entertaining other options in high school? Were you ever like, I'm going to be a professional snowboarder or, whatever crazy dreams people have?
No. I mean, I remember wanting to be an artist from when I was like 5,
You just knew it.
Yeah. And then I think I went through, feeling like I was expected to kind of work in the family business, and then realizing pretty early that I don't have to fucking do that. Like,
right. That sounds good, but no.
Yeah.
Do you have any siblings?
No, I have 2 stepbrothers from my dad remarrying, but I don't have any brothers or sisters from my parents.
So that's why the weight of the family business kind of...
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Was that it was a sports store at the time? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And your dad took that okay to not...
Yeah, he's always been super supportive, and I've always worked really fucking hard, so it's worked out.
Right. Well, that's kind of the key I keep finding again and again.
Mm-hmm.
Did everything change when you went to art school?
Yeah, I think my work ethic, everything else, a lot of that is from the time I was in school.
That's funny because I think a lot of people go to school and just don't fly off the deep end, but they just like the freedom and the headiness of it all kind of gets in the way of actually getting any work done. Mm-hmm. That happened to me. I went to the Art Institute of Chicago, and I was very serious, but I had a really hard time managing the like party hangout, big ideas, lots of talking, lots of like, oh, this is going to be fucking amazing, but very little actual like hands in the chemicals, making it happen,
I don't know. I had some really great teachers, and there was always this kind of... I went to school with a lot of really talented people, and there was a really, really healthy competition amongst everybody. Yeah. Which was good. I mean...
Well, it's a great school. Who was teaching there at the time? Who were you working with?
Mary Snowden was one of my painting teachers. I worked with Baron Story a lot. Illustrator. Yeah. I
mean, because I had a friend who went there a little bit later on, right when they were changing to be CCA from CCA, and I think the ball game kind of changed.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I haven't been back there in years. But
I think also teachers, they respond to people who are clearly taking it seriously too.
Yeah, I mean, I taught for a few years at Pratt in New York, and that was actually one of the reasons why I quit and stopped doing it, because I had a year's worth of students that weren't doing the work and weren't putting in the time, and it doesn't work that way,
Totally. And, you're just thinking like, how are you paying this much to not
give a shit, to not care about it at all?
It's wild, man.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah, I mean, teaching's a whole other thing. But I mean, so you went through school and you fucking did it. You just worked. You made work. Did you come out of there like a bat out of hell and start showing right away, or what'd you do?
Yeah, I got a show. I had a show at a gallery out there in San Francisco like 2 months after I got out of school. So just kind of, I mean, I was kind of doing stuff while I was still in school too. And
yeah.
I don't know, just ambitious and work too much.
Keep working.
Yeah.
Do you like the Bay Area?
I wouldn't ever want to live there again. It was good. It was great for when I was there.
Yeah. Did you know New York was the goal?
No, not until I was in school and like the whole seed of New York was planted probably by some of my teachers who had all lived there, you know?
Right. Well, the Bay Area has changed a lot since you graduated when, 98?
98.
Yeah. It's changed a lot since then. Like Oakland has become the new gentrified.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's pretty wild. Like, you know, when I moved here to Denmark, I moved here about 7 years ago.
Okay.
All my friends lived in the city. They lived in the Lower Haight. They lived in the Mission. They lived in, Nob Hill area. And within these 7 years, they've all moved to Oakland.
Really?
Because the city became completely unaffordable, and now the exact same thing's playing out in Oakland.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that means that like eventually everyone's going to live in Walnut Creek or like Dublin or what the fuck's going to happen, but it's changed so much. But I mean, you know, it's one of those places also where the Bay Area is either you love it or you don't.
Yeah. That same kind of thing has been happening in New York too, but it's in terms of, I mean, I live in Manhattan and, you know, East Village where I live, you know, it's like there used to be lots of people still lived in the city.
Right, normal people.
Like everybody's moving back to Brooklyn, you know. That's
wild. Yeah, I mean, and Brooklyn's becoming quite the place too.
Yeah. It's kind of similar to what you're just describing.
Yeah. I think I would rather have a shock too. I haven't been in New York since 2001. And that was like when my friend lived in Williamsburg, and it was like, yeah, Williamsburg was safe and nice, but you could tell it was kind of recently becoming a place where artists were moving into.
It's like unrecognizable now to what it looked like.
Just a shit show, huh? Yeah.
I mean, you can't fight it. I mean, there's a lot of good places over there and a lot of good people.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of good food.
Do you think Bill de Blasio is going to be able to do anything?
I really don't know. Anything's better than Bloomberg, but
totally. And you know, you can say what you'll say about those guys. They cleaned up the city, quote unquote, or whatever, you know, but their time is done. You know, like they did it. That was their turn.
I can't stand Bloomberg. I think he did more to ruin that city than anyone else in the past.
Are you starting to get itchy at all? Like you want to leave New York, or is that it?
I don't know where else I would go. You know?
Yeah. That's the feeling I get, is like all the cities are unaffordable now. Like, I lived in Chicago, like I said, for a couple of years. Chicago was really nice. I don't know what it's like now, but I imagine the same things playing out, you know, and what, you know, it's just this like weird separation of like people who don't make a solid middle class income can't afford to live in these cities we all used to live in. I'm just wondering where we're going to go. Is like everyone going to end up in Raleigh, North Carolina, or like?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
it's wild. Is it hard to find artist space too? Artist studios in New York?
I've been relatively lucky. I mean, I got a really good space when I first moved there, and I held on to it for a long time.
I guess that's the key, is get in there and get it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in the same, this is this like second studio space I've had. I was in that old space for 8 years, and I've been in the one now since 2007.
Right. So, in terms of the timeline, did you move to New York pretty soon after graduating?
Yeah, like a couple months. Like, I got out of school in May or June, and I moved to New York September 1st, you know.
Were you in New York for September 11th? I guess you were.
Yeah.
That was fun, huh?
It was crazy. I heard it.
You were in Manhattan?
No, I was living in Brooklyn in my old space, and I was walking down to take my dog out, and I heard this very loud thump.
Wild.
Yeah.
Although I imagine it was kind of like being there for a defining moment. In a way, is better than not being there.
Yeah, I mean, it was very surreal.
Yeah, I mean, I was in Chicago and people were calling us and like, they're coming for you next, you know, and I was like, well, I don't know, let's see. Yeah. My mom called me. She was in California, of course, and she was like, yeah, I tell you not to go downtown right now, but I know you're going to. I was like, yep, we're on the way now. Yep. Let's talk about your work. Did you, like, what is it that you are interested in wrestling with?
I mean, most of my work has to deal with, you know, it's people and your experience and figuring this life out and how you're interacting with other human beings, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's the same source material that, like, you could write a song about it, or you could do this, or write a book, but,
is it your way of kind of digesting?
Maybe. You know, I've always made things. I like working with my hands, and I developed this thing. You know, my work kind of started like when I was in school. I kept these really, really detailed, really worked journals, sketchbooks that were all complete, like every page, a finished statement, totally rendered out. And so that's kind of, you know, but with because of that whole process, it's a very personal thing. There's more of you in it and like what you're going through.
Yeah.
And as things went on, at a certain point, I kind of let go of those, just in order to start to feel like I was repeating myself.
Right.
But it's kind of, I liken it to, you know, say a writer's first books are kind of autobiographical.
Right. Everything's very immediate.
Yeah, because that's what you know.
Right.
But as time moves on, you become, at least for me, like, I'm not interested in talking about my, like, emotional experience as much, you know?
Right. Yeah. Is it hard for you, like, for instance, in art school, at least you know, when I was there, so much talking and defending and justifying work. You know, there's never, you're not allowed to put a painting on the wall and say, I made this because I wanted to, bam, done.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, or at least you can, but then people will be like, well, I think this and I think that, or maybe you should think about this. Like,
yeah.
Is that tough for you to engage on that level?
Not at all. I mean, part of, so much of the work is, besides the fact that it's the painting, but a lot of it, you know, a lot of it is mental, and it's, you know, it's the hardest question for an art. It's like, what are you going to make and what do you want to say?
Right.
You know, the how you want to say it and how do you want to make it is, I think, the easier part of the equation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, are you just working from your heart then? Or are you really thinking it out?
Both, you know.
Yeah. Do you like sketch paintings first and plan them?
To some degree, yeah. I mean, I do, you know, working drawings. That's usually where I start from, but some of them don't start with anything.
Yeah.
You know?
So how long, like professionally, how long has it been possible to be an artist for you? I mean, I assume out of art school you probably had to get a job.
Yeah, I never, I did a lot of, I did illustration for a lot of years to pay the bills while I was doing the fine art as well.
I can definitely see that you can draw really lifelike.
Yeah.
I mean, it shines through in some of your drawings sometimes.
Yeah.
And then you mess it up in a way to just...
Yeah, it's, you know, I can do it really right. I just don't like it. It bores the shit out of me, so...
Too perfect?
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I think it's almost easier for people that have less of a, like, natural talent for it sometimes.
Yeah. Because
the whole process of getting really good at something and then letting go of some of it is difficult and takes a while, you know.
I mean, work can definitely drown in technique.
Yeah.
You know, and just lose any sort of other meaning it might have had. Was that hard to give up for you?
No, I think I was always drawn to work that, like, had a combination of tight and loose things in it, and that's not, I mean, uptight or kind of stiff.
Right.
So, and, you know, it's just a matter of just taking the time to figure out how that and let that evolve. I think, I mean, I quit doing anything commercial or anything else. And the teaching, I would say 2005. And I've just been doing the gallery stuff since then.
So almost 10 years.
Yeah.
Would you say like the way, just the physical process of making artwork, has that changed for you after 10 years of being?
Yeah, of course. You know, I kind of came from a drawing based kind of practice, and like the way that I worked was very detail oriented and not as painterly as my work is now.
Yeah.
And you know, you go through periods of work where you're like, all right, there's points where you make changes. You know, you're like, all right, I'm done with making these and I need to push things in another direction, which I've done a few times.
That's nice. That comes naturally. A lot of people don't get that until way late. You know?
Yeah, I have a very low tolerance for. I don't want to repeat myself, and if I feel at all bored with making something, I just won't do it. You know,
that's key. I mean, also since you spend so many hours of your day doing it, you have to stay engaged.
Yeah.
Does it become hard? Like, does it become like, oh my God, okay, 2 more hours and I'm done for today?
It depends. I mean, I work a lot, but, you know, I'm human just like anyone else. And there's times where I'm like, I'm not feeling it today or.
Right. Well, I guess that's the freedom of being self-employed.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it. I noticed I was just kind of like doing a modicum of research so I don't come up here sounding like a complete jackass.
Yeah.
But you have a lot of shows in Europe. Like, do you just have a better relationship with European galleries, or like how does that happen?
For whatever reason, I've done really well over here, and the people over here really seem to get and understand what I'm doing in a way that, I mean, I do fine in the States too, but you know, when the economy went south, like 2008, 2009, like everything over here was still good. Right.
That's what I noticed, especially.
And, I don't know, for my sensibility and like the sensibility of the works and like the bits of like sense of humor and seriousness and all of those things in between, like for some reason the audience, especially here, really gets it. But,
I wonder what that is. I think it's the same with Wes Lang. It's just interesting that, I don't know, I'm just noticing that markets are in fact quite different. And, you know, I don't really know what's going on in New York now.
It's, you know, what happened is, at least from my perspective, is everybody got really safe during the recession.
Right.
And, you know, nobody was taking chances and like, you know, showing younger art or things that, you know, maybe weren't already established.
Right.
And, I don't know. I mean, I left my New York gallery in, I think 2011.
Yeah.
End of 11 or 12. So yeah, I'm still trying to figure out who I want to work with there.
Right. Are there like small independent places popping up again? Because I know a lot of them closed, or a lot of them just had a hard time.
Things like economy-wise feels kind of back to normal there now. And you know, there's a lot of new galleries popping up in Lower East Side.
Yeah. Would you ever be interested in doing anything else, like curating, organizing, having a showroom, anything like that?
I'd be, you know, curating would interest me, but, you know, in terms of doing something else is a main thing. Like this is what I'm putting my life towards.
Right.
You know?
Well, what do you do not to go crazy? Do you have something else you do that you live with?
Yeah, I have old motorcycles. I have a whole shop down the street from my studio, and that's my thing that I do for myself.
And you work on them? And
Yeah, I mean, I've been riding and working on motorcycles since I was 15.
Right.
And I have a really big shop space that I've been in ever since I moved to New York.
Yeah, I think that's important to have something else, you know.
Yeah, it's really helpful because it's also creative, and it's, you know, I have everything I need to be able to fabricate anything I want. But it's not, no part of it is to make money,
Right.
It's just something that I love and enjoy,
Right. I think that's really key. I mean, that's kind of what I'm trying to do with this podcast, is just to have something else.
Yeah.
Because you can lose yourself and you lose your ability to kind of objectively look at what you're doing if you if you get too deep into it,
Yeah.
And, and interpersonal relationships are hard when you work that long too.
Yeah, of course.
That can be tough to upkeep. So it's good to have some other circle you go in,
Yeah, totally. I mean, I don't like sitting around. So for me to take like a break from the studio is I'm going to go work in my shop,
Right.
Like something else.
Sitting around. So yeah. Did you ever get into smoking lots of weed?
No, actually it's never been my thing.
Yeah. Because I feel like that's what facilitates sitting around. I went through periods where I smoked a lot, and that was a lot of sitting around. As soon as I stopped smoking, I was like, what the fuck am I just sitting here for? Let's do something,
Yeah, weed's never been my thing.
Yeah. It definitely slows everything down.
Yeah.
I think it's good for people who have ADD or something like that.
Yeah.
Help them calm down.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have a lot of friends that it works really well for them,
Right, make them function and get on with their life. Yeah. So, what's up with your show now that's coming out? I mean, you got an opening tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Are you good at openings? Can you do the...
Yeah, it's easy.
The chat, the shaking hands,
Yeah,
It's interesting because, people come to openings. The art going public comes often, but what they often don't realize is that months and months and months of work are culminating at that apex, and it can be really tough for people sometimes to even be present, like even detoxing or like, being there can be hard. But are you happy? I mean, did you how long did it take you to make this show?
About 4 months.
Yeah.
I started basically the beginning of the year. I'm really happy with this show. I really kind of made a big push to kind of push the work up onto another level,
Yeah.
And took some chances and kind of let go of a few things. And, there's a big push. I mean, my work's always like on this edge of, figurative, representational, and abstracted, and kind of like I'm trying to stay on that balance.
Right.
So these are all a lot more abstract, but still, figures in all of them.
Yeah.
And
you switched to oil painting too, didn't you?
Yeah.
Is that tough?
It's great. I was using a combination. I would work in acrylic for most of it and then work in with some of the heavier textures with oil on top of it for the past 3 or 4 years. And at a certain point, it was like in the middle of making the show, like 6 weeks into it. I figured out the things that I had been holding on to I figured out how to get that same thing in a way that I didn't know I could get.
Right.
And then I just let it go. But it's actually really helped with the direction of pushing the work in.
Well, I mean, it definitely feels like your work, in a strange way, is more adult. I've kind of seen some of it running. It comes through our hands at the shop sometimes, and it seems dynamic yet very controlled. You're really, it's clear you're thinking about what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, I feel like, what you don't like about a piece is or what you don't like in art is as much of a decision-making factor as what you love.
Totally.
It's like editing things out or making sure it doesn't have this feel.
Totally. Yeah, it's wild. I mean, and it's good to wrestle. That's why exhibitions are good, because you get your chance to fucking throttle something, for a little while, and then it comes out how it does. Some successes, some things to think about next time, and then you're ready to go. I mean, do you have a clean slate every time? Do you come back and you're like, okay, now we're trying something new?
Most of the time. I mean, I'm not really changing anything dramatically besides just pushing them along the same path.
Right.
But, the sculptures are new. That's been fun to work with.
Yeah. Are those bronze, the axes?
Yeah.
Those are nice. I like that.
Thanks.
I like it too because it's so smooth and clean compared to all the paintings. The paintings are choppy.
I've been working through ideas for sculptural pieces for the past few years, and it's a big investment, money and time wise. So it's kind of part of why I haven't done it in the past, but also just I didn't feel like they were quite ready.
Right.
And this seemed like the right time.
Well, that's the thing. If you stuff all that money into one of those things, you're kind of like, well, it's just hanging there. I hope this, just you want to be able to keep going.
Exactly. But I couldn't be happier with how everything came out. And, with my work, the drawings, I kind of worked very hard to have them have their own language. And the paintings have their own language, but they complement each other. Yeah. I never wanted to make drawings that were like a sketch of one of the paintings or a small version of one of the paintings.
They're definitely not. They're definitely their own thing.
And I want the sculpture to kind of have the same kind of thing where it's somewhere where I can play with things that have a little bit more of a conceptual edge to them.
Right.
But still, that work with paintings. And so they all make, they all say something greater than they do individually together.
It's pretty exciting because, you can just start seeing like the possibilities of having these sculptures and the paintings and everything, it's just like you're on this series perhaps, or this exhibition perhaps was like the gate to opening up a whole different interplay between works and everything. Yeah.
Which is, it's exciting and it's fun. Like I love what I do,
What a job, huh?
Yeah, it's fucking great. Like I work really hard, but I always try to remind myself that I, feel very lucky to be able to do this for a living. And
yeah, it comes up again and again. I think, if you're ever to give advice to young people or anybody who really wants to fucking do it, you just have to work your ass off.
Yeah.
That's really it. It doesn't matter if you have talent. It doesn't matter if you have business acumen. All those things will be advantageous.
Yeah,
but
persistence and working hard is more important than the talent,
Totally.
And if you have both of those things, then you have a pretty good chance.
Right. And it's pretty much a given that you're going to have to eat your own balls for a while in order to get there, to get somewhere,
Yeah. It takes a long fucking time. Like, I remember when I first moved to New York, somebody told me, like, yeah, it takes about 10 years to get established. And I was like, all right. But there's a lot of people that would hear that and just be like, oh,
Right. I hear the real estate market's coming back.
Yeah.
Well, I think also for some people, it's not even an option. For some people, it's an option. It's a lifestyle choice that they can try to do or whatever. And for other people, it's like, I got nothing else. If this doesn't work out, what the hell am I going to do?
Yeah.
And then then it is persistence.
And it's also, I could have done a lot of other things, but it's a choice, you're like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make it fucking work.
Right. And you have to also try not to self-destruct because people do that too.
Yeah, of course.
So, but, I can see time's running on here.
Okay.
I want to say thanks for coming in and congratulations on your show.
Thank you.
It's pretty exciting.
Appreciate it.
Is this your second show here at V1? Third show at V1. So you're an old hand at this. It's just.
Yeah. I've been doing it a long time now. So.
Cool. Well, good luck tonight.
Thanks a lot.
So there you have it, guys. That was John Copeland putting up a heroic effort with me interrupting him constantly. I don't know. Was it as bad as I think it was? It was painful for me to listen to be honest. But regardless, good paintings, good work, fellow Californian from the Manifest Destiny state, and I appreciate him coming on the show. I really do. He's back in New York now, but you can still go check out his show if you want. It just opened last Friday. I'll put a link up to that on the episode. And to me, it really comes down to this, both for me personally, for everything. If you want to do something, you really got to work hard. He said it best, you just got to work and work and work and work. You want to get good at something? Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. Demand more of yourself. That's the whole point. That's what I'm taking to heart. That's what you should take to heart if you got something that needs to be done. And if you're wondering what it looks like, just look at John. He's actually doing it and has been doing it for a long time. So look, guys, we got lots of time today. Just want to tell you guys a few things, if I may. I'm no Mark Maron, but God knows the guy set the standard for this sort of stuff. If you don't listen to WTF, that's an excellent podcast. check it out. But this is really about me in this case. I got family visiting from California. It's been kind of hectic, not because they're hectic, but just they're here living in my apartment. Travels, exhibitions, getting work done, the whole thing's kind of piling on. And, I was bummed about this episode. I was kind of thinking about it all weekend. It was just kind of festering. So today I was listening to a podcast pretty much all day by a comedian named Duncan Trussell. And, it's pretty far out there. And I mean that in a good way. And I mean that in a way that it really it's been touching me, and it's been kind of coinciding with a lot of stuff I've been thinking about. I'm, in my early 30s, and I'm struggling with the fact that, all this talk about working hard, I am trying to work hard. I'm really trying to work hard, both on my artwork, the photography I do, on the podcast I'm a part of. I have a job, a regular day job. I have a relationship. I'm just trying to work hard at everything and do a good job. I'm not one of those people who's nostalgic for being young. I don't think that the teenage years were the best years or the 20s were the best years. But there was this sense of wonder and curiosity and newness to the whole thing, which really powered a lot of the energy. It really helped you get through a lot of bullshit, at least, because you put yourself in a lot of situations. Or, it's just you're still learning how to be an adult, really. So to me, it just seems like, I don't know, it just seems to me like when you get older, it's really hard to retain this sense of curiosity and wonder. I looked up a quote I've always kind of known, but I never knew who said it. Genius is childhood recalled at will, by Charles Baudelaire. And Baudelaire. And it's been kind of a catchphrase in my mind constantly, that you have to be able to become childlike at times in order to bring back that original interaction with the world. To me, that's what a lot of basis of joy is. I mean, if happiness isn't a myth, then childhood wonder has to be high on the list for things that make you happy, right? So anyways, I'm trying to work hard right now on a lot of stuff. And an opportunity is opening up. The family is not going to be here. My girlfriend is leaving town for a week, and I'm just planning on getting some work done. I want to update my website. I want to finish 2/3 series I'm working on. I've been working on for a long time. Really want to get that done. And I've really been looking forward to it as well. And all this is on my mind. And then I'm listening to this podcast today. And Duncan is an explorer of the outer reaches of human consciousness. And his podcast is pretty out there, like I said, but in a good way, in a really good way. And he has a pretty dark sense of humor. He's not some hippy-dippy kind of everything's going to be great man, but he's just really wrestling with the human experience. And he's always talking about our meat bodies and what it's like to be human. And it's really inspiring. It's a really good podcast. I recommend you guys listen to it. And he's talking to musicians and artists. He's talking to people. I heard an episode today with a woman who did ayahuasca in South America, and she quit her job as a CNN correspondent and completely changed her path. She was an investigative journalist, and her eyes were completely opened by this ayahuasca experience. And I know about half of you guys right now are going, "Oh God, fucking hippies." But to me, this is an interesting question about the way you deal with modern life. Because I'm sure most of us can agree it's a shit show. There's a lot of stuff being flung in our faces constantly. And, you can get real high a lot and kind of numb it over. You can do a lot of boozing like they like to here up in the north. And believe me, that's just as much escapism as any sort of, traditional drugs. But just the fact that there's someone out there grappling with this stuff, who's trying to figure out how to stay open in the modern world, retaining wonder and curiosity, essentially how to heal yourself from this shit show. That's really what it is. And no one's advocating anything. It's just an open discussion about these themes and these topics. And another one of the things that's so great about it is his open heart and his openness towards this struggle, towards methods of trying to deal with it, ups and downs, all this sort of stuff. So the long and the short of it is, somehow we need to find a balance of working hard, of retaining wonder and interest, not just focusing, not being stressed, not being anxious, but just working hard on the things we're interested in, working for our passions, right? Passion, not anxiousness. This is the sort of stuff we want to be working towards. All at the same time, balancing the fact that there's, life can be a shit cannon and you need to retain wonder and curiosity. It's all this weird kind of amalgamation of trying to balance everything. So, my remedy for that is listening to the Duncan Trussell Family Hour podcast. You can find it on iTunes. I'll put a link up to it from the site. Check it out. It's out there, but open your hearts and your minds and see if you can let a little bit of healing in. Right? Who in their heart of hearts can deny themes of compassion, understanding, and joy, all at the same time as enjoying dark humor about meat bodies and shit cannons? And me, I'm looking forward to a good week of work, solid work, healthy work, doing it because I love to do it. That's the plan. All right, that was this week's episode. Thank you so much for listening, guys. We know you guys have about 7 million other podcasts you can listen to, so we really appreciate you guys coming by to check out ours. Produced once again by the Undergang Armchair. Intro and outro music kindly provided by Heavy Links, British hip-hop group. You can catch a link to Heavy Links in our About page. Interstitial music today provided by The Passion Hi-Fi. Thanks, man. Free beats online. There's a link to that on this week's show notes. As always, come check us out on the web, undergang.net. Come check us out on Twitter. The Undergang is our handle. You can subscribe to our episodes through iTunes or Stitcher Radio. There's links to both of those in the subscribe drop-down menu on our website. And please, if you have a moment, give us a rating. Give us stars. Give us 1 star. Give us 5 stars. Whatever you guys feel like. Everything helps. We're trying to get out there, so please tell a friend if you enjoy the show. Alright, and you guys better get ready. We're bringing in great guests. We're doing a better job. We're working hard, but in a healthy way. And I'm going to try to learn not to interrupt all the time. How about it? Thanks for listening, guys. We'll catch you next week.